Hello and welcome to lesson 4 even, and lesson 4 is on social factors affecting obedience, social factors affecting obedience, and that's page 110 and 1111, and lesson 4 of the unit that is social influences. Okay, so that's social influences, lesson 4, social factors affecting obedience. Can I please ask on page 110, 111 that you copy the key terms and that you do all activities based upon this particular topic. In addition to that, I'm about to give you a bit of a narrative on this particular lesson, and could you write the keynotes based upon this on the spiel basically that I'm about to give you. So social factors affecting obedience. What factors actually affect obedience? The first one without doubt is authority. Authority without doubt affects obedience, and one gathers authority by perhaps having a degree of expertise in a particular area. If we take a doctor, we would therefore be obedient perhaps to the, or not perhaps, if we valued our health and possibly our lives, we would abide by what that doctor is saying to us because of the underlying level of expertise. The other reason that one might have authority is simply because of social status. They've been elevated to a particular position or given a particular role in society, like a police officer, for example. So we would therefore perhaps be a little bit mindful of the repercussions of not abiding by the law or by the course of action that has been prescribed to us by an officer because of the repercussions of some form of punishment. The other factor that affects obedience is culture. If we've been brought up, for example, in a society where we are generally, there's high levels of individual freedom and independence, and that is what the emphasis is placed upon, often associated, for example, with the Western Europe, America, for example. Psychologists have done studies and believe that such people that are being brought up in these particular cultures are less likely actually to be obedient than those that have been brought up in a very strict society, dare I say it, like North Korea, where perhaps the members in such a society are living, to use perhaps Milgram's language, in an agentic state, in that they're not really practicing or their autonomous independent thought. Another factor, strangely, that affects that affects obedience as well, is proximity. So, for example, you would be more likely to go against a particular law if there was no chance that you might get caught because you're so far away. If a parent, for example, goes off to France for the weekend and tells you not to do something, there is the English Channel that separates you and your parents, and possibly if they say don't have a house party, well, you might have that house party. In contrast, if they, for example, go upstairs to their bedroom and say, don't have a house party, you're probably not going to have that house party because there is proximity. We can use a particular example here, of course, with the one that with Milgram's not key study, but Milgram's experiment, whereby he very much deliberately separated. There was a buffer, wasn't there, between the confederate and the participant. They were in different rooms. They weren't looking at each other eyeball to eyeball. And I wonder actually how many of the participants, would it be as high as 65% of people, would they administer that final 450 voltage shock if they were looking at the very person that they had to kind of ultimately harm. So proximity plays a role as well into levels of obedience. Dispositional factors, once again, if one has possesses so dispositional factors are, like we said before, are one's personal characteristics we each possess, such as a high self-esteem or low confidence. These characteristics will indeed affect whether we obey someone or not. For example, Milgram found that people who disobeyed his experiment did so, sorry, because they were confident. They were confident and they were articulate. Those individuals were like, no, having no more of this. So they could explain their decision not to give people a shock. So what I mean by articulate, they were able to really voice and reason exactly why they weren't going to be obedient. Now, there was a cracking study actually done in the 1950s by someone called a psychologist called Theodore Adorno, whose parents were very much involved again in they were Jews, and they were involved in the Second World War, and he did this kind of cultural experiment, and he wanted to look at something called the authoritarian personality. He did something called an F scale, a fascist scale, consisting of approximately 33 questions, which was essentially geared to measure and dissect an individual's disposition to see whether they were indeed more fascist or more chilled and relaxed. And he did this with thousands of young people that were living in America and thousands of young people that were living in Germany. And you can guess what he anticipated the answer to be. You can preempt, but I'm going to tell you anyway. He anticipated that the young people in Germany whose parents were involved in World War II were going to have perhaps more what we call authoritarian personality. In other words, they were going to follow rules. However, this was not the case, and Adorno was quite surprised that actually in Germany or America there was broadly the same results. So guys, we've looked at a bunch of things there. The key terms I really want to get you to get to grips with, definitely authoritarian personality. Have you got one? Are you quite prepared just to go along with what you are told? Are you constantly in an agentic shift? Is that a good thing? Also, look at words like authority, culture, proximity, okay? Key social factors that affect obedience levels. Good luck, guys.